Welcome to Archery Country Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to Archery Country Podcast. This is your host, Waite as we are rocking and rolling in the Rogers studio, and we got some very, very cool dudes in-house and on the phone. Today, we're going to be talking about Elite and TOG and what it has to offer, a bow that we've had in the shop for quite some time. I have had a fair amount of success with Elite in the past. Very, very, very cool setup, very cool company, and we got some great guys with us. First one I want to introduce to you is Trent Kleeberger. He is actually a Minnesota man, good friend of mine. We've shot for many years. He is right across from me. And then we also have Darrin Christenberry, which is a name a lot of you just perked up and turned your volume up a little bit more, a name that we're very blessed to have on here. How are you guys doing today?
Absolutely wonderful.
Love it.
Very good. Very good.
Love it. So, Trent, you go first. Give us a little history of yourself, your history with archery, you know, how you came about and what you've done. I know that you managed a pro shop and run that for quite a few years. So just give us a little background and then your new advancement now with Elite and TOG.
Sure. You know, for me, like most people, I started, at a really young age, and my dad actually got me into shooting years ago and hunting, and started shooting some 3Ds and that kind of thing, and just progressed from there. And it certainly was a passion of mine. And, so that turned into working in a pro shop and just growing that, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And that need to fill that just has now led me to TOG, and working with these guys has been a blessing.
Absolutely. And we when we say TOG, 99% of you listening right now understand where we're going. That is the outdoor group in conjunction, not only Elite, but a lot of other great brands that we're going to talk about and elaborate on. But besides your growing up and shooting, we've shot a ton of tournaments together.
Right.
We've traveled together. But you managed a really, really nice pro shop. You actually, before the pro shop, you managed the archery department at Shields.
Yep, I did. Yep.
And then you took on at Coyote Creek.
Yep.
And you managed that and left it in good hands. And now
Now I'm regional sales manager for Elite. Manage 5 states for them, and we do
running. That's what a lot of individuals don't understand when we talk to reps, or we say, like, when a customer wants to order something, we say, let me get a hold of my rep. They don't quite understand, like, you're not on beck and call for one pro shop. You have, like you just said, 5 states.
Yeah, 5 states, it's hundreds and hundreds of dealers. Basically, I'm at their beck and call and do whatever it takes to make their job easier. That's my job. So,
and it's very cool that your passion has carried in from helping customers to now helping pro shops help customers, and you're going to shoots and you're running the booth and you're getting to see everything that you've seen from the other side of the table.
Right. For me, it's all about just making better archers, and if I can help you as a pro shop, help make better archers, that's what I want to do. So,
and what I love about Trent, for those of you that don't know him, he stands 6'9", and right now he's got his grizzly beard going. Just a very humble individual, and you can help. And what that's going to help us when we talk about draw length and different, because Darrin and I are very similar in the shooting style and the draw length, but you are on the very top end of things. So we love it. Love you having on. And then Darrin, there is no introduction that I need, but if you would, a lot of people don't know your backstory. If you'd give us just a little bit on that and your hunting, your world, and what you've done, and tremendous accomplishments on the ASA and the indoor and NFAA, USA Archery. You've done it all.
It's crazy because I look back at all of it, and it feels like it's been so long since I've been competitive, or was one of the names they were talking about. That people that have just gotten into archery in the past 6 or 7 years, they may not. Who's this Darrin Christenberry guy? They may not know, and that's fine. But archery for me was just, I was eat up with it when I was a kid. I loved arrows. I didn't shoot at targets. And shoot them up in the air to the next hill because I wanted to watch them fly. And that was just something about, it's new, it said the mystical flight of the arrow, and that's just something that it tripped my trigger, and lo and behold, the little town of Spencer, Indiana that I've lived in my whole life, just east of town, was a place called Parker's Archery, big sign out by the road, and it said indoor shooting range. And I was like, what in the world? Why would people shoot bows indoors? Had no idea indoor archery existed. So I had driven past this place for years, and finally, my wife-to-be at the time, her brother was in a bow hunting league up there, and we were stopping to see if he wanted to go to dinner. It was around Valentine's Day, I believe. And we stopped, and I said, I want to go and see what this place is all about. So I walked in. There's all these guys shooting all these fancy bows, and I was like, unbelievable. Had no idea this existed, and that's what sparked the fire. So next thing you know, I'm buying arrows. I borrowed a bow off my father-in-law, shooting fingers in a 300 league, happy to hit the target, let alone hit a scoring ring, was just tickled to death to hit the paper. And that quickly grew into getting all the information I could get, wanting to be a competitive, someday professional archer if I thought it could happen.
Yep.
Went by, I realized I was getting pretty good at this game. And I just had the drive, the determination. I was passionate about it. I loved it. I loved doing it. I loved building arrows. I love everything about archery. So long story short, that transpired into a professional career. I shot for Martin in my early stages as a pro shooter. Then I went to Matthews for 11 years and really didn't have any intention of leaving Matthews. And then I got a phone call from the outdoor group, an elite, and said, we want you to shoot an elite. And I'm like, elite, who shoots an elite? I really, I wasn't aware. I knew they existed, but I'm like, wow, could I really do that? And next thing you know, they're like, well, we might sign a guy named Levi Morgan too. And I'm like, really? So that really perked me up. And I thought, yeah, I kind of want to be a part of that. So about 3 weeks after I signed my shooting, the VP of sales, Dave Raitano, called me and said, hey, we want you to come work for us. And I said, I don't know the first thing about sales.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. We want you to go in these shops and talk archery with these guys. And they said, that'll do it. So lo and behold, I gave up being an electrician. I worked at General Electric for 11 years trying to get enough paid days to shoot as a professional shooter. That got downsized and shipped to Mexico. I went to school for low voltage electrical systems and ended up being an electrician for almost 10 years. And I gave that up to get into the archery industry, and that has really opened my eyes to seeing wearing all the shoes and wearing all the hats and seeing everything from every angle, from what dealers deal with behind the counter to what shooters deal with to, now I'm a pro staff coordinator. I got out of sales after 3.5 years. I'm the pro staff coordinator for Elite TOG, managing professional shooters and negotiating contracts, which I'll be honest is not my favorite thing to do, but it's
yeah.
awesome. It's good to be a part of, and I've seen it from all sides now, and that's kind of the abbreviation of how I got to where I am. But archery, I'm still as passionate about it today as I was back in the early 90s. I still, and I still just absolutely am thrilled to be a part of what they call archery. I love it.
That is awesome and a great story. And like we say, you've had some great accomplishments, and then also a lot of individuals are going to recognize you when you're not in the shoot off. You're co-host for Cam Media on the coverage of our ASAs, and you've worked before Cam. You were also dabbling on there, and then sometimes we're not going to see you because you are in the shoot off. But you bring a level of knowledge. You bring and what we call a personal feel to a lot of the shooters, and it's not just a first name dropping. You know the story. And like you bring up Levi Morgan, which is just an iconic symbol in the archery world. I don't care who you are. You've heard of him or you've heard of Samantha on that. You're very, very good friends with them. Another great name, Chance Bobeff. I've gotten to know him. You know all those guys, and you do more than just give them a bow or help them out on certain things. You shoot with them and you're friends with them. And I think that adds a ton when you're hosting on TV for that.
Yeah, it's back in, I turned pro in 2000 indoors, and because I could shoot 60Xs, almost every time in practice, and I was a world-class practice shooter, and a lot of people are world-class practice shooters, but these guys that go to every tournament and never miss an X or never miss a 10 ring. It's unbelievable to be able to take that practice game mentality and just shut it off and do it at every tournament. You know, Chris Perkins, Real Wild, Chance. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of guys that have consistently just hammered out perfect rounds all the time. But I didn't turn professional in 3D until 2002 because, as I said, I worked for General Electric and I didn't have enough vacation days. I really wanted to shoot for Rookie of the Year. That was one of my goals.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have enough time off to make all the tournaments. So I did, and I did win Rookie of the Year in 2002. But I also spent $11,000 out of my pocket to try to win $4,000 back. And people are like, hey, I can't afford to lose $7,000 a year at the professor without, something had to happen quick.
Yep.
So 2003, I won the IBO Triple Crown, shooting a Matthews, and then that turned into bigger contracts with some help for entry fees and travel, and allowed me to continue to pursue a career as a professional archer, because going backwards $7,000 a year, I just couldn't do it.
Right.
So that allowed me, gave me the opportunity, and point of all this leading up to, I had to feel like I belonged out there. I just didn't know if that was for me. Am I good enough to compete? Do I have what it takes? Can I prove my worth out here? And it took me a couple of years, some time and some money to finally realize, hey, I do belong out here. I can compete. I can win. And then when I did win, it was like, man, I didn't see an end in sight. I had a couple, 3 really hot years there, 06, 07, 8, 9, 10, shot on the World Cup team. World Cup, the outdoor FIDA stuff almost ruined. Well, I fought target panic off and on for years, and it's still something, that'll rear its ugly head. And I know a lot of people deal with that, and I'm not ashamed to talk about it, because it's a success story when you can beat it at times, and when you go out there and can execute under pressure. It's something that needs to be discussed, and I think that's the only way you beat it is put your fears out there in front of you and face them. But all that success, all that time, I felt like I knew I belonged out there. Haven't had the success I've wanted in most recent years, but like I said, I've been blessed. I knew I belonged. I've had a lot of experiences out there to draw on, and that's why I think I speak the language so well. I've known these guys most of my life. I've had personal relationships, or traveled, or roomed, or hunted with them.
Yeah.
So I've been in shoot downs. I've lost tournaments. I've won tournaments. I've had the thought processes. I've gone through what they're thinking, and somehow I can relate that, it seems like. So I don't know if I'm the perfect fit for television and commentating, but I'm blessed if somebody let me do it. And again, being a part of archery, I'm very lucky to have done all this stuff.
Absolutely. And you are a perfect fit, and you just explained why. And that's why we're glad to have you on today, as we are going to kind of dive into the bread and butter of our conversation. So Elite, I was introduced to Elite in 2015, and kind of the same situation. I only ever seen it on, if an ASA or somebody talked about it, or at a tournament. It wasn't something that was common here in the Midwest, being from Minnesota. And then I got the opportunity to shoot some, and like you say, that little stepping stone, you grit your teeth, and you're shooting 60X games, and you're doing it all the time, and then all of a sudden you'll miss one at a tournament. And I remember the first tournament I went to with an Elite, I shot a Victory 39, went to the ISAA Pro-Am, and I was an amateur and ended up third there, and then just turned around, and I didn't even know what I was getting into in Vegas. And I think it helped me, because I went out to Vegas and I shot a 900 in flights, and it was 986X, and or 76X, and walked out, and all of a sudden there's a crowd, and I had I thought, well, this is the game. I didn't do any research. I didn't know what scores were. I didn't, I was just glad to see my name on top, let alone be on the very first bail. And then it just exploded. I had every hunting bow that Elite made, and I shot their target bows, and it's a very, very, very well-made bow, and there's a foundation, and that's what you guys are going to relate to us. First, let's talk about the 2021 models. And Trent, we have a bunch of bows around us here at the Pro Shop, so we'll kind of start on your flagship side of things, and we'll work our way down. And instead of listing all of them, let's just grab the Encore. and tell us about what it is and what we're doing and what the bow is. And Darrin, at any time you just chime in and where are we going there? So this is, Trent's got it right here. This is the Elite Encore. Give us a little spec breakdown on that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the history after we do the bow segment.
So the Encore, it's a 33-inch axle to axle bow, so it's a good mid-length, for most archers. So, whether you're a long draw length guy or a short draw length guy, it'll serve your purpose.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing with these is the adjustability that these have. Draw length wise, this bow will go from 23 inches to 30 inches. So from a pro shop standpoint,
right,
as long as you got the right poundage limbs, you can cover women, men, people coming off shoulder surgery, whatever. I mean, this bow covers it all, and you can adjust it down to the 1/4 inch if you want. So very adjustable in that regard. And then you throw in our S.E.T technology, the ability to adjust that limb pocket to twist that over a little bit to help you get the bow to tune just exactly how you want it to without having to press the bow or do any of that stuff. It just makes it so easy.
And so in the Encore, like we talk about, there's a lot more going on than just the bow, picking it up and then setting the draw length. Like there's not very many bow companies when we talk about 1/4 inch draw length or controlling the let off or having a limb. I still call it a limb stop. The pad, is it still considered a limb stop? But we
can do it either way. That's a nice thing with this bow too. For guys that have shot Elite forever and like that limb feel, that super solid back wall, we still offer that. But if you want something, it still has a very hard back wall into the cam. But if you want even that little bit harder, you can certainly still do the limb stop. We offer it both ways. So,
and like you say, it's 33 axle to axle. The stability, the hold. Darrin, I know that we're kind of going two different ways on this. We'll get into the technology and everything and the history of Elite. Mm-hmm. But what do you think on that limb stop? It's a very hard back wall. There's going to be very little sponge, if none at all, if you put the limb stops on.
Right.
What do you think that does for a shooter?
Oh, our bow gives shooters the option. You can do the limb stop. I think it equals consistency to me. Some people say you can't shoot a back tension release with limb stops. You have to shoot it on cable stops. I mean, on paper it may not be right, but what you can and can't do, that's up to the guy drawing the string. I've shot limb stops for almost the whole time I've been with Elite. I'm currently shooting cable stops on the Results. I just think having that option to know, if you buy the bow and it just comes with a limb stop, you never know. If you buy the bow and it just comes with a cable stop, you never know what you can do. Having that flexibility with the adjustment on the cam, with the S.E.T technology, I really feel like, I know it sounds salesy, and I don't mean to sound salesy. Maybe I should, but I've been a long time. Bows, year to year, don't tend to impress me too much, but I feel like Elite right now is very underrated. When people talk about big three, they may say, Hoyt, Matthews, PSE or Bowtech, whatever. I feel like we're underrated if we're not up there toward the top, because we have a bow that literally a dealer doesn't have to carry as many SKUs because it's got a 7-inch draw length adjustment. Yep. It's just the adjustable let off, the 1/4 inch draw length adjustments, limb or cable position, the ease of tuning without a bow press, not having to fight with mods anymore. There's a lot of positive things to talk about when you talk about Elite bows.
Absolutely. And it was an eye-opening experience. Trent actually a couple of weeks ago or a month ago came up, and we just had our little dealer rep meeting, and he just instead of talking specs and reading stuff, he just grabbed a bow, and we all three of us went in the back, and we shot it, and he had one set of Allen wrenches, and every one of us tuned it to an arrow that probably never even meant to be tuned.
Right.
And we had a whisker biscuit on, and it was eye-opening. The transition of back 10 years ago when we talked about tuning a bow, we did a lot with the rest, or we twisted a yoke here and there, maybe set your top cam forward, to index before. But now, literally, no press, like you're saying, a set of Allen wrenches or one Allen wrench, and we can tune the arrow and the bow all in one with this S.E.T technology. And we're going to elaborate. We're going to go into detail on that. But There's just so much in a great price for a bow that you can't get with certain companies. You know, like you're saying, that wide arrangement for your draw, you don't have to have a bunch of different mods laying around. And then the feel. A lot of customers will come in, and let's say that we measure them, and by all means, customers listening, if we take the wingspan, I hate when people say that. Oh, here's my wingspan, divide by 2.5. Well, that gets me close.
Right.
That's not your draw length. Let's go over and do it right. And sometimes they're not 28.5, and they're not 29. They're 28 3/4.
Well, let's face it, between bow to bow, it's an inch difference from some bow from one manufacturer to the other. So
absolutely. And you can do that all with these.
Right.
So that's the Encore. I would like exactly what you said, 33. I love that number. I've always loved between 32 and 35, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. Let's just shift and turn around and grab, I believe that's the Remedy.
It is.
And give us a little breakdown on that. Every bow that we're talking about, except for one today, is going to have the S.E.T technology, and that's the way that we're tuning. We're shifting things over. So give us a little breakdown on that.
So the Remedy is an inch longer axle to axle, so a little bit longer, a little bit more forgiving. It has the same cam, but a different module on it. Okay. So it's going to be a little smoother module. So it's going to have a little smoother draw cycle to it, but still that same great elite feel. The other thing with this one, it will go an inch longer in draw length too. So guy my size, getting to 31 inches is a big deal. So this will get you there.
And Darrin, you do a lot of hunting all over North America and maybe the world. I haven't asked you on that. But like last year you went out west, and I know that we've seen you on some videos, tree stand hunting versus spot and stock. Like what's an axle to axle there? Are you shooting an Encore, or are you shooting a Remedy, or where are you at?
I'm actually hunting with the Remedy, and that's what I hunted with this past fall. I've always been a longer axle to axle guy. I just like that feel. I like the string angle. I did have to hunt from blinds every sit while I was out in Wyoming. I hunted at Bighorn Outfitters, hunting pronghorn for the first time and whitetail, and I took both animals from a blind, and it was very uncharacteristic for me because I'm, 6'2" and 200 and a bunch of pounds, but I'm not made for sitting in a cooped up blind having limited visibility.
Right.
Midwest, from South Central Indiana. I grew up in tree stands. Blinds were made for rainy days, in my opinion. That's the only reason I would need a hunting blind, was to get out of the rain. But the 34 inches didn't seem to bother me in there. And axle to axles, really, as other manufacturers have proven, and we have too, we had 30-inch bows. We've had 28-inch bows. Now we're 33, 34, 36 is what our 2021 lineup is. But axle to axle for a lot of applications is almost irrelevant anymore when you start talking cam sizes as well. But I think the 34 inch is just a perfect, if a guy's on a limited budget and wants to buy one bow to kill stuff, to kill paper, to shoot foam animals with, I think 34 is one of those perfect axle to axle lengths where he could buy one bow and do just about any type of archery he wanted to do.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with it's a misconception in the world of archery when people say they want compact, right? They want a small bow because they're going to go elk hunting. Red flag right away. Like, okay, so what are you gaining by having a bow that's 2 ounces lighter but 6 inches shorter? And so you can take 2 steps further than me when you're packing in there. The thing is the stability factor, the string angle, and don't get me wrong, there are some short draw shooters where that's going to be a little more comfortable maybe. But having a forgiving bow and having the stability of the riser, the way that you guys cut out the riser and the technology behind that, you're gonna find that you're steadier at longer distances. By no means, and I've said it on the last 35 podcasts, whatever you're ethically comfortable shooting, then shoot it. But if you're practicing, if you're going to shoot, sometimes a 60-yard shot is what you're going to get. And you got to be able to be 100% confident. And another thing about Elite, 99% of what we do in archery is practice. Rather you're a paper shooter, you shoot ASA foam, or if you're shooting at animals, strictly just a hunter. You're only taking 1 or 2 shots at that time.
Right.
You're taking hopefully 1,200 shots at something to get ready. And you have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be accurate. If you're not accurate, you're going to have anticipation issues, and you're just not going to be confident.
Or you're just going to quit.
Right. And I think that's where Elite kind of stands out. And I couldn't agree more. You're a little bit underrated. The company is. And if we can push and get things growing, and you guys have a ton of great pro shooters, and you're seeing them on TV now all the time. A lot of great professional archers are also celebrity. I call them celebrity hunters, but they're the ones that are on TV. They do it because they love it, not because of a paycheck. But you're starting to see this brand and over and over, and now we're starting to get a lot of guys and women in it. And that brings us to our next bow, which since the introduction of this, like lights out, congratulations. And it's not a flagship high-end bow. Trent, talk to us a little bit about the Ember.
So the Ember is a bow that's, it can fit pretty much anybody. I mean, really, it'll go from 10 pounds all the way up to 60 pounds from a 15-inch draw length to a 29. So it serves a very valuable purpose, especially for your new archer that is going to change a lot, or teenagers, even younger than that.
Right.
My 10-year-old shooting one of these. So, I mean, it'll fit anybody. And one thing that really stands out with this bow over a lot of other, quote unquote youth bows or adjustable bows like this is we incorporated our limb stops into this. So a lot of bows at low poundage, when you get to that back wall, kids and stuff have a tendency to pull through that back stop because, at that low poundage, it'll just roll right over. So with that limb stop, it keeps their form in check a little bit more and really helps that young archer shoot a lot better. So.
And Darrin, when you guys designed this, and I know that you're part of the design crew, you have a say in what's going on, and you got a ton of very, very smart individuals who are archers as well. This bow, it's also a performer. Like you and I could grab that. Well, you guys couldn't on draw length, but I can perform with this bow. It has the efficiency in the cam, and dabble a little bit on what you guys, when you put into this.
Yeah, well, I'm sure people listening, if they haven't heard of, they probably have. Nathan Brooks. Nathan has been a staple in the archery industry and shot for some different manufacturers, but we're lucky enough to have him as a professional shooter and as a TOG employee. He works with the engineering team. Nathan does a ton of our testing. Nathan's actually the guy that led S.E.T technology to come to life. He was trying to tune his wife's bows. Jen, she's a lefty, and just her style of shooting, she kept getting these weird tears through paper, and Nathan couldn't get the bows to tune properly with the tools he was given from the factory. So he would take the limb rocker out, and he'd start filing it down at an angle, which would allow the limb to sit in the pocket a little different, which would, in story, manipulate the tip of the limb, which changed the attitude of the cam. So all that being said, that's how S.E.T technology came to life. But he actually took that Ember, tested it, shot it for himself, let his daughter shoot it. It's a true two-cam bow. It's not a binary. It's a true two-cam. But Nathan actually set that up, put his long bars and a target sight on it, shot 326X Vegas round with it. So, this is a $500 fully adjustable bow that'll go from 15 to 29 inches in draw length, and I believe it's, 10 to 60 pounds. Trent, I think, is what it is. Now, it's all relative. You can't get a 29-inch draw length 10 pounds. That won't happen.
Right.
And you can't get 10-inch or a 15-inch draw length at 60 pounds. You just can't. But anyway, it'll fit a ton of people. It is an awesome bow. It's tested, and it's selling probably about 100 times more than what they thought it would sell like. So we only make it in right-handed right now. We've had a bazillion. It seems like anyway, so don't know.
we had it here at the shop. We tried, and it's just an overall. It's a great experience, and what I like about now we're going to dabble into. We still have the target bows to talk about, the Rezult 36 and the 39, but let's talk about those, because we're on the bow deal. And then the word that I'm getting very, very close to saying, I'll say here in about 2 minutes. But currently, Trent, you're shooting the Rezult.
I am, yep.
The 30.
I'm shooting the longer version of it, the regular Rezult.
Okay.
With my draw length, I don't get that choice.
Right. Yep.
It gets made for me. But you know, I couldn't be happier with the bow. I'm actually we do have 3 different mod systems that you can run in our bows. A standard mod, a 75% let off mod, or a performance mod. So I'm running a 75% let off because I like a little more hold weight. So
Okay.
With that, it's just been a phenomenal shooting bow. I couldn't be happier.
And what I like, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Sometimes when we talk, let's go back to target archery just for a second. Since we're talking about target bows, in certain venues, paper, there's one bow that seems to be on every podium. Okay. And then in the ASA world, there's 2 bows that are on every podium. But now now 2020 was just a stupid year. You know,
Right.
COVID sucks, and we all know that, and we never got to play, and we didn't get to see our buddies, and it's just dumb. So let's go back a year before that. Now, with the quality of shooters and the bow technologies, every weekend it's a different podium.
Right.
It's not dominated by a certain company, and Elite has got, especially in the foam world, a ton of phenomenal shooters who are not just shooting foam. We're seeing them on the first 3 bales in Vegas. We're seeing them at this weekend. You guys are headed out to Indoor Nationals, and you know, every weekend it switches. And I think that has a lot of credit, and that's what I mean. Elite, when you say the big 3,
Right.
now you have Hoyt, Matthews, and Elite. Who's going to be in the number 1 spot, number 2, number 3? And I know it doesn't matter to the average customer out there, but that does say a lot about the technology and the bows.
Oh, exactly. You bet.
Darrin, on the what for your target rig? What are you running?
I'm shooting the big Rezult as well. Yeah, it's the 36 is. Nathan feels like the 36 aims just a tick better for him, so he's shooting the 36. But for me, with just like I said, to stay consistent with what I said, I just like longer axle to axle. I'm a fan of the stability. The big Rezult is the bow choice for me.
I love it. And since the introduction of S.E.T, tuning a target bow has become super easy.
It's so easy to bare shaft tune these or do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stand on the line, boom, boom, and you're done.
However you want to go, as far as you want to go down the rabbit hole, you can do with these. Actually, a guest that we had on a little bit ago is Jason Goetken, who has dominated the archery from Reading to indoor. You can read all of his accomplishments. If I were, maybe I'm spilling the beans right now because we have the bow here and he doesn't, but
it's here already, huh? Nice.
I think it is. I think it's in the back.
Good.
He has an Elite.
Nice.
He got the Rezult 36. And you want to talk about a guy that's going to put it to the ringer like Nathan Brooks,
Right.
or Chance or any of those guys as far as tuning? He's going to do it. And there's a reason that he's doing it. He's seen the performance of it. But back to it, and Darrin, you can help us out on this. The history behind Elite and the outdoor group, a word that we hear, I think it's one of the greatest promotional words out there, is called shootability. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, and then give us a little history on Elite, or maybe vice versa, where they've come in such a short time of making such an awesome platform?
Yeah, it's 2006, I think, is the earliest you could find an Elite. It started out in a basement and quickly grew into, 3 different buildings in West Henrietta, New York. And then the outdoor group, their investors got involved, and then it quickly grew into a 9-brand company. But Elite has, quickly evolved, and it's been, I've seen a lot. I've been at Elite for going on 8 years now. So they've been in business for 14, 15 years now, and I've been there for almost half of them, or just over half of them. And, being in sales to, working at customer service. I do a lot of emails with customer service, warranty, and tech, managing the brochure. Like I said, I wear a lot of hats, so I get to see a lot of different views and see through a lot of different windows. But almost got too big too quick. It really it's amazing to see how fast the company did grow. And I'm sure some people's feelings got hurt. Dealers didn't get treated correctly. Lead times have been long at times. I mean, you can take all the negatives out of it if you want to, but there's a lot of positives there as well. good products, made in America. This year, 2021, I believe, is the best year we've ever had as far as having the most complete bow lineup, from the Ember, fully adjustable bow, all the way up to our flagship hunting bows and, the 36, 38 Rezult. I mean, those bows are fantastic from top to bottom. So it's been, not a perfect path. It's not been a road without some hurdles and speed bumps in it, but it's been awesome to be a part of and to see where we're at now. We're growing. I think we've got customers coming back into dealers going, hey, I want to see that new Elite. 2014, when we had the Energy bows, the Energies is what put Elite on the map. It really was, the Energy 35. And then the option was kind of, that erased some of that momentum. That was a bow that just kind of, killed our buzz a little bit, for lack of a better term. But now I think we've mended some relationships. We've got good products going out the door. We've got the best lineup we've ever had to offer, and I feel like our products are in demand again, and being right now.
Absolutely, and you can vouch for that. The release of the Encore, and being a pretty good dealer, not saying anything or trying to be cocky at all, but we were one of the first ones in Minnesota to have the Encore, and a great customer. He called and he said, "Do you have it?" And I said, "Yep, we have one, and it's the new green color." He came in, he fired 2 arrows, and he's a very short draw length, and it tuned unbelievable. And he walked out. So I had it for almost 2.5 hours. I didn't even get to shoot the bow. So, there is a demand, and he come in and he bought another one, and his buddies bought one. And we're starting to see when they come through the door, if you look at our pro shop, we have an extensive lineup, more bows than most pro shops besides Lancaster and some other big ones like that. But now, instead of having 8 pegs with Elite bows as soon as 16, now we got 24. There's 30 bows sitting over there because the demand is becoming. Rather it be social media, be a combination of great product, guys seeing it with somebody's name on their shirt, or a hunting world. That's what we get a lot here we're kind of Midwest Minnesota, right just north of the cities, and in our other locations north of us. But 90% of our inventory is for hunting. And the target world, we can't keep the target bows on the shelf. It's growing, and it's growing, like you're saying, it's growing really, really good this year.
All those people got to do is put these bows in their hands, and they find out for themselves real quick, what shootability is and why we promote it that way, because they're the most shootable, easiest tuning bows in the world. They truly are.
And where did that name come from, Darrin? Or where did that slogan come from?
That was, I think that was originated by the original owners, Pete Crawford, Garrett Armstrong. They came up with the term shootability, and the definition of shootability. I mean, that's a trait of Elite, and I think it's kind of like I think they say it's the collective experience of the draw cycle, the overall balance and feel, which is ultimately increases the shooter's enjoyment and accuracy when it matters most. So it just it kind of checks all the boxes. It's easy to draw, it's easy to hold, it's fun to shoot, it's repeatable. All that together equals shootability. That's what that all means.
I love it. And that's the thing is, as a pro technician, pro shooter, however you want to label anybody, we can talk statistics and we can say this will do it. But coming into a pro shop and just shooting them, rather it be at 5 yards or 20 yards or set up with a sight and a rest and the whole kit and caboodle, or just shooting at bear, it will speak for itself. It's a definite contender. And I think that's all you need to do is just shoot it. Take it for a test drive. You might come in for a Ferrari and leave with a Lamborghini. You don't know what shoe fits. So it's great to it, and the technology, it's fail proof. There's so much that you could say about it, but a lot of our customers also like to hear about hunting and shooting. You guys are headed to indoor nationals, like we just said. Starting to see the ASAs have been going good. The first one down in Foley, and then we're all headed to Paris here in a couple of weeks. Then Vegas. I almost forgot about that. The pro shooters are going back out. Will you guys be out there?
I'm Darrin. You guys got a booth out there, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then
we're prepared for a booth. We don't know if we're going to have it yet or not, but we're prepared to have one.
Right. And you can see these guys all over. So what do we got on store for 2021 as far as hunting? Trent, where are you going just around here? Or are you guys incredibly busy that you can only go to one hunt a year?
That's a great question because, with my former past, I was lucky to get to go hunting 5 days, 6 days out of the year. So,
right.
I'm actually looking forward to fall. I'm hoping I'm not as busy and I can actually spend some time in the woods. So
absolutely.
I don't really have anything set in stone yet, but yeah, definitely going to spend a lot more time in the woods this year. So.
And what are you hunt, or what's your hunting rig, or have you not decided yet?
I'll shoot the remedy.
Remedy.
Yeah.
Draw length and all that.
Yeah, I'll put it at 31, and it's a little bit short, but I actually prefer that a little bit in my hunting bow. Just I feel like, especially if I got to get it at an awkward angle or something like that to make a shot, I'd rather be just a hair short, I think so.
And just give us your whole setup. What are you running for a sight? What are you running for rest? And elaborate as much as you want. Arrow build, that's a huge thing right now in the industry of archery. And guys and gals, they like to hear what other people are shooting.
So on what I'll run for hunting setup on my remedy, I'll use our Engage sight, 3-pin movable sight.
Okay.
I just like the versatility that sight gives me. I'll shoot it as a single pin slider, but it gives me, 2 other pins if I don't have time to move it in a hunting situation.
Instantaneous if you need it.
Right. Or if you draw back and that animal goes out another 5 or 10 yards, you got something out there to reference. So I like the versatility that sight gives me. For a rest, I run a Hamskea rest on most of my bows. Sometimes I'll jump to a QAD, but it's kind of in between them two on a hunting bow. They both are great rests, but and then stabilizers, I run our torque stabilizers on there. I run a front bar and a back bar.
What are your lengths?
Usually 211s.
Okay.
I like a little longer bar. Probably run anywhere from 4 to 6 ounces on the front and about the same on the back. The bow balance is pretty good like that, but it just gives me a little extra stability and especially coming off I shoot my target bow most of the year round, and that's pretty heavy. So
right.
If I pick up just a plain hunting bow, it goes everywhere because there's not enough weight there to support it. But besides carrying it to the tree stand, I really like what it does. But
arrows, are you a speed freak? We can touch some really, really cool speeds with these bows. Or do you run a light arrow? Do you do front of center? What are you at?
I typically like to run a light arrow. Last year I went really heavy just to try something different. I'll go back to a light setup again this year. The Easton Hex is kind of my go-to arrow.
Okay.
Love that arrow.
Yep.
Run it with about 50 grains of brass in the front usually, so I get a little bit more front and center, but nothing crazy. It's a fantastic arrow and super lightweight. And
are we a mechanical shooter or fixed or both?
I tend to stay fixed.
Okay.
Once in a while I'll dabble with the mechanical just to play with them, but if you take the time to make sure they're flying properly, you're getting as much, if not more, cutting surface with most fixed blade heads than you are with an expandable anyway. So
right. Gotcha. Yeah. Sounds like an awesome setup. Darrin, go nuts.
Yes, sir. I shoot the Remedy. I'm hoping to, I get privy to some new products once in a while. So for the 2021 hunting season, I may have a 2022 bow in my table by then. If not, I'll use my Remedy again. But, I'm shooting a Remedy, 70 pounds. I shoot the CB Engage Hybrid 5-pin sight. I know we sell a ton, and shops sell a ton of single-pin sights, but for the life of me, I can't figure that out. I don't know why maybe someone could tell me. I don't understand why you want to shoot a single-pin sight. I got 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 fixed, but then having the hybrid, I have the ability to single yardage I want as well. But I guess hunting in the Midwest, a 1-pin sight, you could probably aim a little high, a little low, but I've been in a lot of situations where I need a lot more than just 1 pin. So, but anyway, I shoot the 5-pin Engage. I shoot the Elite QAD arrow rest. I'm actually shooting the Torque spider bars on mine, our target bars. I'm shooting a 12-inch on the front with 8 ounces. I'm shooting a 10-inch on the back with 12 ounces. And I'm shooting an Easton AC9. The ACC's been around probably as long as I have. And it's just an all-around awesome arrow. I shoot a mixture of broadheads, having access to Slick Trick and Broadhead, two of the companies for the outdoor group. I've shot Viper tricks. I've shot Magnums. I've shot the Raptor trick. Hunting with Levi, I kill some deer with a schwacker once in a while. But yeah, I shoot fixed or mechanical, either one. I try to get all my hunting bows somewhere at 280 or above if I can. I'm not a speed freak, but I'm also definitely not on this high front of center. Got to weigh 7,000 grains. I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but that's about my basic setup. I take 6 arrows into the field with me because you just never know.
Yeah.
But it's pretty keep it simple. I'd like to keep stuff pretty simple. I've got all high end products that I take to the with dependable, very consistent equipment.
Absolutely. And I might be the only one sitting here that's going to try the new SS Broadhead.
Are you?
I've been begging Trent to get ours, and now we found out that they're coming. And I have not, I've shot fixed 10 years ago because it was what we were shooting 10 years ago, right? Mechanicals kind of had a little horror story. And then since then I've shot Rage. I've shot the Slick Trick. I'm actually going to tune up those super cool. I think they just look badass. I think they're going to fly like darts. And the first hunt that I'm going to use them on is going to be an antelope. So I'm going to have to reach out there.
Perfect.
Now I say that, knock on wood, and he's 18 yards at the water hole because it's 97 degrees. Maybe that'll work too, but no, I'm very, very excited to see that. You can sharpen 2 of them, 2 of the blades at one time, and you can make them you can change the angle on it. I think it's just going to be an all around hard hitting, cutting broadhead. And all of their broadheads. I mean, we've shot them for many, many years. They don't fail, and they work, and they fly great. They're designed great. That's awesome to hear it. Are you headed back out west, Darrin? Do you know? I know we haven't talked about it, but you had some knee problems you had to get taken care of. You had a shoulder injury you had to get taken care of. Is that you going to be headed back out?
I actually just talked to my son about this the other day. I went with him and of course Levi and Samantha out to Bighorn Outfitters last year in Wyoming. It was my first trip ever hunting out west, and I didn't ask too many questions before I went to the blind trying to shoot antelope, and I was like, the one question I asked is, where do I aim? Whitetails can be skittish, so you almost aim to miss them. You aim low, behind that shoulder and let them duck into the air, and they're like, no, they won't know you're there. Just aim big middle. Well, my first shot was at 32 yards, perfectly broadside, and that dude hit the ground. I never touched him. Through the field, I looked like a fool, and then I ended up shooting one at 76 and a half, and he had no idea the arrow was coming. So
yeah.
It was kind of bittersweet. I looked goofy missing at 32, but looked like a hero stroking one at 70, almost 77. So, but my son asked me the other day if I was going back out, and I was like, I don't need to kill another whitetail. I've killed a pronghorn. I said, if I go, I'd like to do a spot and stalk mule deer hunt. So it's not off the table yet, but I haven't confirmed it. So, but if I do go back out west, it's going to be for mule deer. We'll always hunt whitetails right here at home in Indiana. But that's real. Yeah, my surgeries, I've had 2 knee replacements. I had a little tear fixed in my shoulder and a cyst drained there. So I'm working hard on the men. I'm shooting a lot of arrows trying to get stronger. I'm not where I want to be, but it's not from lack of effort. Hunting season, I always try to make some time for that. But target archery is where my heart is, but I always try to put a few sets in every fall as well.
Absolutely. We could talk about hunting stories if we wanted, but a question just came up in my mind. We have a ton of guys that target archers that are hunters that are now exploring target archery. We're knowledgeable, we're pushing some products, but we're more or less a podcast that's trying to help individuals out there and stuff that people want to listen to. If you look at YouTube and our social media team, they track what people are watching and what people are, searching engines on Google and going on that. As far as a practice routine, and we're blessed to have Darrin here, all of your accomplishments we talked about, and Trent, you've won many titles and you're very accomplished at far yardage. Give our listeners, the hunting listeners, and then the target archers, like what are we doing practicing? We have the bow, we come in, we got a brand new Remedy or the Encore, we got our arrow set up, we're completely pimped out, right? It's tuned, Give us what you do for your target archery practice and then also for your hunting. Do you let target archery just take over and then your hunting is your hunting, or what are you guys doing for practice?
For me, I guess, for target archery, this year's been different than anything I've ever done because I've always, working in pro shops, I've always had access to a range to shoot at. So missing that this year, my practice got sidetracked a whole bunch, but I spent a lot of time at 8-10 yards in my garage this year just banging arrows just to get some reps in, just to keep the shoulders and stuff, somewhat loosened up and try to keep that feel per se. But good, better, and different, it certainly did help. In the summertime, once summertime comes and, I kind of switch into this hunting mode, I have a few 3D targets out in my backyard that I can either go out my backyard and shoot, or I can shoot them right off my deck too. So I'll usually have my bow just kind of sitting around the house and I'll just pick it up and go pop some off the deck just because when you're hunting, I feel like you don't get to stand there and shoot a bunch. So just to pick it up cold and shoot a couple arrows and make sure things are doing what you want it to do. When you're in that situation, help a lot too. So that's kind of what I do.
Gotcha. Darrin?
Yeah, mine's pretty simple. I spend an absurd amount of time looking at 3D targets because most of my success has been on the 3D ranges in unknown distance. So I have probably close to 60 3D targets. I have 25 or 26 Reinhardts, and I have 30 some Mackenzies out there in my barn. I have an indoor range I built in 2006. I have a archery shop in my basement that has I think I counted 29 bows hanging up the other day, but I have 3 arrow presses, an arrow saw. I have, this is an archery mecca. I love it. I'm passionate about it. But when it comes to practice, like I said, I spend an absurd amount of time looking at animals. I do shoot them quite a bit as well. But for basically my practices, I keep shooting good, I keep shooting, and I shoot a lot. If I'm struggling with something, I'll put it down and go watch TV, because next thing you know, you're looking for problems that may not exist. Our bodies change from day to day. My muscles are different from day to day. And the days that it's going good and the shots are flowing and the bow's pointing nice, I'll shoot till I can't draw the bow again. If I'm struggling and I'm getting these weird flyers or things aren't working right, man, put it down and go do something else. Don't look for problems that may not exist. That's probably the best advice I could give. But if you're shooting good, shoot a ton, and I do. The new technology on our bows is fun to play with, and I guess my practice is how good can I get it? With hunting set up, how good can I make my broadheads fly? How tight 60 yards with fixed blade broadheads? That's what I'm practicing for. That way, if I'm comfortable shooting at 60 and I'm super deadly accurate at 60, when I get something at 35 or 40, it's a chip shot. I don't even have to think about it. So I guess that's my, thought process on practice. When I'm shooting good, do it a ton. When things aren't flowing as well, go watch TV or find something else to do.
I love it. And then one last question before I cut you guys loose. When we're talking to two of the premier guys in the industry, and some people, when we talk about the word tuning, right? We have a bow that virtually it's one of the easiest bows in the world to tune. What are you doing? Okay, you got a brand new bow out of the box, you're setting it up. Take us, Trent. What are you you're shooting it through paper and then you go take it? I know target bow a little bit different. Are you bare shaft tuning? Are you walk back tuning? And then the broadhead tuning, obviously we're taking care of that when it comes time to take care of it. But what's your tuning life like?
For me personally, first thing I'm going to do is I spend a lot of time on my draw length, and I want my draw length to feel right, and that's what I like about this too, that 1/4 inch adjustment, or, not having to do it so much. We used to just have to try to put a longer D loop on or shorten the D loop up and do the little things that way. And this just gives you a lot more options to get it exactly where you want it to feel. And once you have that figured out, then I'll, paper tune it, make sure that it's paper tuned, and then shoot it a little bit. I'll bare shaft tune. I don't get too much into that, but it's kind of something that's always in the back of my head. So I tend to do it whether I want to or not. It ends up being in the repertoire somewhere. But and then from there, especially on a target bow, there's other things you can certainly do, but I more or less just shoot it and just see if I need to do something else. I don't go looking for problems either. So on my hunting bow, broadhead tuning is a big deal. So usually if I've bare shaft tuned a bow, my broadheads fly exactly the same. I mean, it's pretty much always never had that not be an issue, but every once in a while, you can get something that ain't quite right, but that you need to play with, and this certainly helps with that.
And absolutely, like when you're saying it, adjusting your draw length, we say that's the start. You can't just have a number.
Right.
You're going to be different from every company.
Right.
But having, instead of a customer saying, well, can you tie me a longer D-loop because I'm short? Well, how short are you? Well, you're obviously not a half inch, but a quarter inch. Like, we can play. You can customize the bow more than others. And then, like you say, you shoot 120 arrows with the limb stops in, then take it off and just shoot the cable stops and see if you're better grouping, if it holds, if it's more forgiving, if your pin float goes from a figure 8 to a small U.
Right.
There's so much that you can do with these. And then another thing that we haven't even talked about, repeatability is a huge word in archery, especially target archery.
You bet.
The grip on this, it tells you what to do. You put your hand on it, and it's the same from shot 1 to shot 600. It's a very repeatable grip. Darrin, I know you a little bit. I met you in Vegas, and we've talked a little bit about arrows and that. And the first question you asked me, it wasn't, you said, hey, congratulations on your win, yada, yada, yada. But then you asked me about my arrow setup. And I kind of, I was like, what in the world is this pro shooter asking me, a guy who shoots for Easton, asking me how my arrows are set up? But it's knowledge. I consider you kind of an arrow geek. What are you doing for your tuning, from start to finish?
Start to finish, I build the bow completely. I mean, I've got measurements but since I've gone through what I've gone through, I've built my bows completely this year off the field. And I wanted to go out. I worked on draw length till I got the bow how I felt like it needed to be, got the holding weight where I wanted it to be, got the draw length where I needed to be. Then I put my sight on and started tuning for a sight picture. I wanted to hold as steady as possible. I wanted to, the point of all of it being is, if you're executing a release properly, when the release fires, your mind takes a mental snapshot, takes a little mental picture of exactly where your pin or dot was when that release fired. So I know now, boom, that should be 4 o'clock, whatever, half shaft X, it's a little low right of center. That's where that arrow should be. And if it's 3 inches high left touching blue, I want to know why. And that's what I'm tuning for. I'm tuning to change weights on the front, change weights on the back. I do some bare shaft tuning now, which I never did in the past. People ask me lots of questions. Do you bare shaft tune? No, why? Until they have a tournament to where I'm not allowed to use fletching, I don't care what my bare shaft's doing.
Right. And
in the past, with having to shim cams and take the bow completely down to move the spaces on the axle, it was too much work for the pay value. I see the benefit of investing that much time to where it might not even change anything. Having the new technology, the set technology, the quarter-inch adjustments, the limb stops, the cable stops, adjustable holding weight, 3 different mods. It's fun to go tune a bow right now. How good can I get it again? How good can my sight picture get? I'm tuning until every snapshot that my mind takes when that release fires, when I know I have it right, is when the arrows are hitting where that picture is. Little low right, dead center, little high right, little left. That's where the arrow should land. If it's not, something's not right. My either draw length's not right, my tune's not right, my bare shaft's not right, my weight's not right, and I'll keep tinkering with it. And you can do this every single day if you want to. You finally have to find a place where you're like, okay, I'm not a machine, but this is as good as I can physically get it. This is as forgiving as I can get it. Happy with that sight picture. Once I check all those boxes, it's ready to go in the case and head to a tournament.
Love it. I love it. You guys, this has been an awesome podcast, and I hope a lot of listeners kind of have an eye opened on the situation, or an ear that's listening. Come into the shop, any shop in North America. There's tons of them that have them. If you're here around archery country, just come in. We have them. We can shoot the target bows. We can shoot any of the flagship bows, the Ember, the Remedy. You name it, we have it. We even have some of last year's cures that we can look at on the carryover setup. But I want to thank both of you guys that did a great job, and I think we opened up a lot of eyes on it. So on behalf of Archery Country, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Best of luck this weekend. Hope they find the medal, and maybe we'll see you on the podium. Then we can really add some pictures to this podcast on the setup. But on behalf of Archery Country, we hope you enjoyed it, and we'll look to you on the future.
Thank you for listening to Archery Country Podcast.